Hey YouTubers, so just a quick message before I take you to the video that I originally filmed for this week. Many of you are probably aware of the fact that Peace Corps Nicaragua is currently evacuating. I had already filmed the video that I had planned for this week before this began to happen, and I don't want to go into detail about the evacuation in this current video, but I've decided that I am going to do a video for you all next week about what it's like to evacuate a country during Peace Corps service. So I just want to acknowledge that that is happening because I don't want to ignore the fact, and I don't want you all to be unaware of the fact that Peace Corps Nicaragua is currently being evacuated. So more details on that next week, but for now, let's go ahead and get to the original video that I planned.
Hey YouTubers, my name is Andrea René, and I'm a current Peace Corps volunteer in Nicaragua. Welcome to my channel, Andrea René Abroad, where I talk about Peace Corps, travel, and working abroad. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing how to prepare to leave for the Peace Corps. So maybe you have already been accepted to the Peace Corps and you are just wondering what those months between your acceptance and leaving for the Peace Corps look like. So let's go ahead and get started. So in case you are new to the channel, I just want to provide a little bit of background information on myself. So I was first accepted to the Peace Corps on December 4th of 2015, and I departed for Peace Corps on August 8th of 2016. So I had a period of about 8 months from the time that I was accepted to the Peace Corps to the time that I departed for Peace Corps. Now I know some of you might have less time to prep to depart for Peace Corps, but hopefully by listening to my experience, you will be able to make plans for your own departure. So literally 2 days after I accepted my invitation to the Peace Corps, I received via email access to the medical portal as well as access to Learning Space, which is just the learning platform that Peace Corps uses in order to prep you for departure. So this includes modules such as core expectations, safety and security, and HIV/AIDS awareness. So the nice thing about being accepted to the Peace Corps in December was that I was wrapping up fall semester of my second year of my master's. So I was actually able to use winter break as a time to focus in on the different medical portal and Learning Space activities. About a week after I received access to those different platforms, I received my legal kit in the mail. So being on winter break also allowed me to go to the fingerprinting office, get my passport photos taken care of, and send all of that information back to Peace Corps. And it was processed by January 2nd in the new year. So it was just really nice to be able to check all those items off my list pretty much immediately. So maybe you heard me say passport photos and you're thinking, what, you didn't have a passport? No, I did have a personal passport and I still do. It's back in the United States, but Peace Corps requires you to use a Peace Corps specific passport during your service, which you use to enter and exit the country during service for vacation, and then also entering and exiting country at the end of your service. So I won't go into too much detail, but that's why you have to get passport photos taken. Let's talk a little bit about medical clearance for the Peace Corps. So as I mentioned, I had received access to the medical portal, and when I opened it up, there was a big list of tasks that I needed to complete, including visiting my doctor's office and my dentist. So make sure you schedule those appointments right away, even if you are 8 months out from leaving like I was. All of the tasks that I needed to complete for the medical portal were divided into 2 different categories: the packet that I was going to take to my doctor's office and the packet that I was going to take to my dentist's office. So I went ahead and printed those out, and once I went to my doctor's office, I just showed her the packet, which included a list of all of the vaccinations and tests that I needed to get done. So just as a side kind of funny story now, in hindsight, I did not know what a TB test was. It was my first time ever, and I had just come from a full day of student teaching. And as it happened, I had forgotten my water bottle that day for student teaching, so I probably was already dehydrated and loopy to begin with. So I thought that a TB test was just gonna be like another shot on my shoulder, but as probably a lot of you know, it's actually this weird like liquid that they put like right here on your forearm, and it creates a bubble. Basically, if the bubble disappears in a few days, then you don't have TB. But anyways, I had no idea what it was, and the poor nurse, it was her very first day on the job. So she was explaining it to me, and basically I passed out on her. So I passed out in the nurse's office, and I woke up and I was like on a stretcher. Anyways, it was just kind of a funny story. But unfortunately, my doctor did end up having to include that on my Peace Corps medical documents, and later Peace Corps reached out to me asking for me to write a plan to deal with any future issues of fainting. I am not like a common fainter, but whatever, it was just like another checkbox that I needed to check off. So I mentioned that there's different tests that you have to do when you go to the doctor's office. So for my fellow women out there, maybe you're wondering about getting a pap smear before Peace Corps. And generally what Peace Corps advises is that even if you are not due for a pap smear, to just go ahead and get one prior to Peace Corps, so that you don't have to deal with getting one during Peace Corps. So the second packet that I had, as I mentioned before, was the one that I took to my dentist's office. And I have had orthodontic work done, so I also visited my orthodontist. I have permanent wires glued into the backs of my upper and lower teeth, so I just wanted to get those checked again and make sure that they were good to go. My bottom wire actually has fallen out completely, but my orthodontist knows about it. I do have retainers that I wear. So if you are like me, you've had orthodontic work, just make sure that you bring your retainers, because even if you have glued in wires like I did, they can fall out. And then as far as just like the rest of the dental stuff goes, it was just a general hygienist appointment, and then the dentist came in. So maybe you're wondering what kind of contact with Peace Corps you will have during the time from when you are accepted to the Peace Corps and the time you depart for Peace Corps. So I had 3 Skype business calls between the time that I was accepted in December and the time I left in August. So at the end of March, we had our first pre-departure webinar, and that was just with the country desk officer in Washington. We were all muted on the Skype business call, and then they just talked at us, and we were allowed to like ask questions in like the chat box. And then again, I'm just looking down at my notes. The second one was at the end of May. And then the very last one was at the end of June. And that one was probably the most helpful because we actually Skyped our staff here in Nicaragua. So it was an international Skype call. And that was the first time that I got to at least listen to the voices of my bosses, and they got to express their excitement about all of us coming, and it was just a pretty nice meeting. So you can pretty much expect that you will have a few different Skype business calls between the time you are accepted to the Peace Corps and the time you depart. So I've talked a little bit about how Peace Corps helps you prepare for Peace Corps, but now I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can personally prepare for Peace Corps. I first knew that I needed to sell my car and my bicycle. I just decided that it wouldn't be worth it to leave them at home for 2 years and just have them basically depreciate in price. So I went ahead and posted my bicycle and my car to Craigslist, and I was able to successfully sell both of them, which was really nice to get a bit of extra cash before departing for Peace Corps. The other thing that I did was I took advantage of the Memorial Day sales to buy new items for the Peace Corps. So I've actually already done a video on what to pack for the Peace Corps, which I will link above. But Peace Corps will send you a recommended packing list. So I went through that packing list and just evaluated what I wanted to bring and what I needed to buy, and then also what I could leave behind. So I gave myself a few months to begin packing, and that was really helpful. You definitely don't want to be caught packing at the last minute, because remember, you're going to be gone for 2 years, and that's a very long time. You want to make sure that you pack very thoughtfully. This probably will only apply to younger folks who are headed to the Peace Corps, but in my case, I still had my childhood bedroom at my parents' house. And just to do them a favor, I did a very, very deep clean of my room. I got rid of a whole bunch of stuff. So if you're a young one, just do your parents a favor and downsize your stuff at their house. Let's talk a little bit about preparing your finances. So I know sometimes people are really private about their financial matters, but I just really, really recommend that you have all of this down before you leave for Peace Corps, so that you're not all worried when you're gone or like spending all your savings like crazy. Definitely create a financial plan before you leave. In my case, I promised to myself that I would never ever use any of my personal money from the United States. except for when I went on vacation to the United States. Peace Corps really does provide you with enough money to live as long as you are not living too extravagantly or traveling too much. So it's totally doable. So if you're wondering, oh, do I need to save up a bunch of money for Peace Corps? No. If you are thinking that you would like to go on a backpacking trip in the region of the world where you are serving, then yes, by all means, if that is on your priorities list, go ahead and save up for that. But if you are interested in not saving up any money, or maybe you just don't even have any money, Peace Corps definitely gives you enough money to live without having to use any of your finances in the United States. But ultimately, as I said, it is up to you. So the final months before I left for Peace Corps, I had to complete an activity on the learning module. So I haven't even talked about this on this channel, I am in the TEFL sector of Peace Corps. So TEFL has a TEFL certificate program. So I actually had to do my pre-departure learning course before I left for Peace Corps. So that took up a little bit of time. It was a little bit difficult to juggle that and being a RA during the summer, but I was able to get it done. Pretty much the last things that I can share with you all is that I received my plane ticket to depart for Peace Corps about a month before I left. So Peace Corps makes all the reservations for you. They purchase your ticket for you. You don't have to worry about it at all. And then they'll send it to you via email. So just make sure that you have the correct email so that you get your plane ticket to leave for Peace Corps. And I would say the final thing is just make sure that you properly say your goodbyes. So some people decide to have a going away party before they leave for Peace Corps. That's not really my style, so I just met for coffee with different people, got dinner with different people, made sure that I spent as much time as I could with my family. So that's what my 8 months looked like before I left for the Peace Corps. I'm sure if you spoke to other volunteers, they would tell you that they had different experiences. So make sure that you talk to other Peace Corps volunteers as well. But if this video was helpful to you, be sure to like and to subscribe below to receive more videos like it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next week.